It's hard to know what to say in a moment like this, you know. We've just listened to another story, and you want to hop right into the conversation. But once again, the listener is not privy to the last half hour of pure agony. What would you call it, Chuck?
It was a nightmare. What it was 40 minutes of unending sound checking.
You've been impersonating a producer now for this podcast for how long, roughly?
5 years, maybe, something like that.
5 years. Okay, good. I just want to make that point because our guest today is Justin Folk, who's a filmmaker who lives in this world of production and pre-production and checking the very basics of things. And he just sat here with showing an extraordinary amount of patience as you and I, a couple of monkeys, attempted to this football into oblivion. And I think we've got it worked out. Justin, thanks for your patience. How the heck are you?
Great. And let me just start by saying I'm just privileged to join such a well-oiled machine. This is you guys, what you do, it's magic, really. It's, you guys should be the template for how to do this. Well, you guys are the Keystone Cops of podcasting. So, congratulations.
I've been called worse.
God. You were I almost said an actual filmmaker, and I didn't mean it to sound like that, but I mean
you... A pretend filmmaker, right.
Well, I mean, you were in the belly of the beast, and now you're in this very different space, dare I say an unsafe space.
Right, well, I always want to be a filmmaker, and so naturally the first thing you do is you move to Hollywood and you start working on jobs, and I got the privilege to work on some pretty big movies and met a lot of people, and it was a good experience. I worked on the Matrix sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions. I worked on The Incredible Hulk and a number of other films. I worked in the visual effects department, and I did that for a while. And after a while, I just sort of kind of got tired of being a cog in the wheel and really wanted to impact, I guess, the war of ideas and do something a little different. One sort of catalyst for me was I was a pretty avid snowboarder also at the time, kind of a fearless snowboarder and a cautious filmmaker. And one day I hurt myself snowboarding, blew up my knee.
Sure.
And I had my first child was on the way. And I think that kind of put me in my seat and really made me think about what I wanted to do. Kind of got me serious about, what kind of stories do I want to tell? And for me, because everything coming out of Hollywood just has a sort of a negative connotation on the idea of America. What is America? What are the principles of our founding? It didn't always used to be this way, but it is now. And so I really thought, hey, what if we could tell stories that actually promote the idea of America, what this place is, liberty, things like that. And that's when I kind of made it my ambition to tell stories that talked a lot about the American idea. I think with our movie No Safe Spaces, the major point that we want to make is that America is the true safe space for ideas, a place where people can peruse ideas and ask questions and look around and talk about these ideas. Increasingly, that's come under attack. It's scary, and I don't think young people quite grasp what this thing is. They don't understand it as a slippery slope. They don't understand that free speech and what the founders intended can be messy at times. It means that people can be offended at times. But they've been told that they have a right not to be offended, and so they want to jettison the thing in our society which makes us unlike any other place in the world, where we can have ideas, we can talk about those ideas, we can debate, and it's how we solve problems. It's why we've been such a prosperous society for so long, is because we can bash ideas against each other and see what shakes out. The ship has sailed with me in mainstream Hollywood a long time ago.
That was my question.
They're not going to be calling me to do Glee Part 4. I recognize that, but that's not a bad thing for me because I've made a pretty good go of it.
I was accused a couple of weeks ago in the New Republic of sneaky conservatism vis-a-vis dirty jobs, and this is why I had Chloe on a couple of weeks ago, because the guy who wrote the article said the sweat pledge was bonkers, and I wanted him to hear somebody who signed it, who had prospered as a result, but. Also, in the course of all that, this guy, Jake was his name, he talked about the fact that he used to love dirty jobs, used to watch it with his dad, until he got older and realized many years later that the ideas at the heart of the show were what he described today as sneaky conservatism. We were entertaining you first and foremost, but underneath that, there was a morality play, and it had to do with hard work and delayed gratification and a decent attitude and some sense of personal responsibility and rugged individualism. Isn't it crazy how those attributes have become associated with conservative principles in the same way that liberal ideas today tend to fall in line behind kindness and empathy and basic decency? And it's like, why would either side abdicate any claim onto those virtues? But we have, and it's just so bananas. So it's the non-sneakiness of your movie that I admire today. You still entertained, first and foremost, but you led with your right. No safe spaces. Let's not be confused about what we're trying to do here. Still want to entertain, but you kind of hit that nail pretty hard on the head, I thought. In a good way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we basically created a character for the First Amendment named Firsty, and we basically murdered him on screen. Yes. So yeah, that was pretty direct.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, Schoolhouse cartoon murder of the First Amendment.
Right.
But one of the greatest benefits about being a filmmaker is being able to learn about things while you're making a movie on the topic, and it's been one of the funnest. I've learned way more as a filmmaker than I ever did in school, and that's why Trading Up was such an awesome thing. Making the short documentary Trading Up on the trades was great because I got to learn a lot more about the trades. I remember when PragerU asked me to make a short documentary about the trades and trade school, the first person I called was my plumber, but he was like too busy to talk to me. So that told me something right there.
Right.
But the second person I called was Chuck. I got to talk to Chuck about this. And Chuck was funny because I think he knew I didn't know enough about the trades yet to really tell this story. So he's like kind of quizzing me on the phone. He's like, "What do you know about the skills gap? Can you tell me about the skills gap?" And I'm kind of like, "Oh, the skills gap." Meanwhile, I'm like Googling skills gap. Yeah, Chuck. No, skills gap. It's a very real thing, and wow, we got to do something about that. And so, in the process of making Trading Up, it was a lot of fun because I did, and again, just like No Safe Spaces, it was alarming what I learned. And a couple things that stand out to me is that, the fact that we have so many of these jobs that are unfilled and we don't have the people to fill them, and that is the skills gap. But what's even more alarming is the fact that, and I don't think people know this, but your audience would probably love to hear that half of the trades workforce is going to retire in the next decade.
Yes.
Which is, it's like, boom, who's going to fix anything around here?
The supply chain is happening. It's frozen. I'm trying to get a line of whiskey launched. I can't do it because I can't get the damn bottles. They're still stuck in the port, right? Boo-hoo. Mike can't get his whiskey out. I'm just saying that...
That's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking because it's really good whiskey, and I kind of feel like the country could use a drink right now, and I'd like to help provide one. But what we really need are bottles.
I might go have one now to go lament your lack of bourbon.
I would appreciate it. This is why I wanted you to come on, frankly, because you're in this fight in a meaningful way, because you're making content that can be shared and that can hopefully help move the needle.
So much of our society is built around the trades, people that have skills that can do amazing things. And what's frustrating is it's so disregarded, and it has been for so long, and that emphasis needs to change.
And what's particularly ironic and personal for me, the reason that I didn't edit the beginning of our conversation to cut out the incredible frustration we experienced for the half hour we spent trying to get this damn connection to work on this eternally vexing podcast is because metaphorically, it's exactly what you're talking about. Now, I'm not saying podcasting is a trade necessarily in and of itself, but it is a pursuit that requires skill. And that skill comes with preparation and planning and all sorts of things that Chuck and I simply can't do because we're spread too thin. Now I'm making excuses, but that's part of it too.
Well, that was my 4D chess move, guys. I'll come clean now. I had a button I was pushing that was keeping us from hearing each other, and I knew that you would make that connection and have that really brilliant insight. So, it worked.
Well done.
It worked.
Look,